All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. Hold on, I got something up here. I don't know what it is. There we go. Um, it feels like with everything we're seeing, we're coming to the very end, right up to the last wire. I waited a couple days to see if an earthquake would pop off. The waves and the seas roaring is really the last thing that we need to see, that we read in the Gospel of Luke. There's more things that the people will see in the Gospel of Mark and Matthew, each one increasing, but basically what we need to see, or we should see, is the waves and seas roaring. So I was kind of waiting on an earthquake. Although we've had several over 6.0, one of them up there north of New Zealand. Uh, we are just kind of waiting for that. I know we could relate to the waves and seas roaring to what's going on in the Middle East, I suppose. But to me, this would be a God event. This would be an Amos 3:7 event. Um, as you know, Trump gave Iran an ultimatum of 48 hours. I'm not exactly sure when that began, but I know it ends tomorrow at some point. So the only reason, the reason I come on here, and I have for years, is to get that one person to take who's mathematical, to take a look at the timeline and say, these things are building up. I personally don't know when the rapture is, but since God reused dates several times, I would think that the rapture would occur on something that he used before. So I say it's a high watch day. Of course, like I always say, I really don't know when it is. I think when that day comes, we're all going to know. My videos are just in the hopes that that one person that's out there that's mathematical will see it and go, that's very interesting. Let me take a deeper look, and they'll get into the Bible. And so that's always a good thing. So let me get into the pictures right here. Move this up and out of the way and hope that moves up and out of the way. And it's not, it's staying there. I don't know how to move. Hide video panel. Whoops, that's my video panel. I don't know how to bring it back now. Hide floating controls. Ah, found it. After all this time, I found it. Whoops. Now I have no idea how to bring my picture back. Let's see here. Maybe here? Nope. I don't know. I don't know how to bring my picture back, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It's probably best I'm not in the stream so I can show all of this. Now, where we are, wow, I don't even know how to stop this thing. I hid everything from myself. Yeah, I have no idea how to stop the video if at the end of this. I guess we'll worry about that when we get there. How do I bring it back? Okay. So Sister Sandy did this for me some time ago, and I've never really shown it too much because it can be confusing. But remember that there's people who are they're sticklers on this Rosh Hashanah thing, that it's actually on the Feast of Trumpets, when we know Exodus 12 says it's not. So what she did was overlay the first 6 months with the second 6 months. So on this day, Nisan 1, it matches with Tishri 1. March 17th and September the 15th. The most important date is the Hebrew date of Nisan 1 and Tishri 1. This is Rosh Hashanah. This is trumpets. Technically, one could say, because of Exodus 12, that Rosh Hashanah is trumpets. But the Bible distinctly tells us that the head of your year now is this, and it goes on to tell the story, or to tell them what to do, that, on the 10th day, you'll bring in a lamb. and then you'll anoint it. And then on the 14th day over here, you will kill it on Nisan 14. And then that evening on Nisan 15, you will leave. A lot of things happen when you overlay. These two events are right there next to each other. It's a Thursday. Nisan 1 is always a Thursday. Tishri 1 is always a Thursday. If it's not a Thursday, then there is no way Jesus went to the cross on a Wednesday. He had to go to the cross on Nisan 14. It was a Wednesday. It was a fourth day of creation. It was a Sabbath of time. This is Wednesday is a Sabbath because it's the Sabbath of time. Thursday is the first day. This is the day he created time. He created time on a Wednesday. And then 7 days later, of course, would be the Sabbath of time. So I'll show this to you. Let me show you where we're at now. We are on March 22nd. This is the day 6 months out that Eve was made. She wasn't created. She was created as a rib in the side of Adam. A lot of debate on what that meant, but she was a part of Adam, and then God separated Eve from Adam on this day, on the day 6 of time. That's why when we read the story, it goes back to recount the creation of Adam here. And it talks about bringing Adam into the garden and filling the garden, and he worked the garden. Then he named all the animals. He had a warning not to eat of the tree. And then over here is where Eve was created on the 6th day of time. And that matches to today, March 22nd, Nisan 6. That matches. Mary and Martha are clean tomorrow. They buried Lazarus on March 16th. March 16th, which was Adar 31. They buried him. They had to perform a ceremony after 3 days, which they did here on Nisan 3, which was March 19th. And then over here, Nisan 7, March 23rd, Mary and Martha are clean. That matches up 6 months out to the 7th day of time, which is also a Sabbath. Jesus went to the cross on a Sabbath, a high Sabbath, a Wednesday. And then we continue on over here on this block. This block right here matches 6 months out. There was a meal with Mary, Lazarus on Nisan 8. Martha, Mary, and Lazarus on Nisan 8. That matches Tishri 8. We go on. There was a meal with Simon the leper, the Pharisee. It happened at sunset. Had to because his head is anointed. It must be anointed 4 days before the cross. The Bible tells us this meal with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus happened 8 days before the cross. This meal with Simon the leper happened the night of becoming a Saturday, a Sabbath, and this is where his head was anointed on the Sabbath. This is the triumphant entry day. This block right here also contains when Jesus began his ministry, began it on Yom Kippur, Nisan 10, Tishri 10. Now, to put the extra day that we have to deal with every year, Joshua's long day, the Bible gives us leeway. I've had to put them both here. This could both be September the 24th or September the 25th. Depends on where you put that day. Some people will put it on March 31st, and that way the first is the evening of Jesus going into the grave. And some will put it, or like me, I put it on March 30th, and then April Fool's Day would be a day later. It literally fits just about anywhere in these stories. So we continue to go on. Notice how 6 months out, Jesus at the Last Supper, which is at nightfall, happens at nightfall, and then that evening they grab him, and then that morning they whip him, and then they hang him on a cross, and he hangs on that cross until 3 p.m. But notice how it matches exactly 6 months out with Jesus turning water to wine. Exactly 6 months out, 182 days. It's perfect. And so this is where Jesus says, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine again until I drink it with you anew in heaven. That's why that was there. That's why it was a Tuesday, the third day of the week. That's why it happened 3 days after he began his ministry. It says, and on the third day, nobody knows where to count from, but it was 3 days from where he began his ministry. It was 5 days before his birthday. 1, 2, 3. He began his ministry on a Sabbath, on Yom Kippur, on the Day of Atonement. We go forward. Again, this block is for wine, and then Jesus goes to the cross at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But this mostly relates to when the Jews leave Egypt, Nisan 15, which 6 months out is when Jesus was born. So Jesus, and that's the symmetry that catches my attention. This cannot happen with the moon. It cannot happen with the equinox. It can't happen with any other calendar other than this one. Jesus is born on Tabernacles on Tishri 15. The Jews leave Egypt on Nisan 15, exactly 182 days out. Jesus lived 33 and a half years. His ministry lasted 33 and a half years plus 5 days. 5 days because he actually started it here on Yom Kippur. So we go forward, staying within the block of the 6 months. And do we see any others that relate together? Unleavened bread ends on Nisan 21 per the Bible. It begins back here when the Jews leave Egypt on Nisan 15, Nisan 14 at sunset. And 7 days later is when unleavened bread ends. Mary and Martha's, Mary, remember, has a male child. She has to perform a ceremony after 7 days, and she's unclean another 33 days. So this is Mary, the mother of Jesus, on her seventh day will perform a ceremony to be clean, but be unclean for 40 days. On this day, Jesus is named and circumcised. It's October the 7th. Of course, you'll recognize that date. That's the date that all of this began. October the 7th of, I think it was 2023, when the wheels of motion began towards the end of all these things that we're seeing. So Jesus is named and circumcised on October the 7th. Now, we keep going and see if we have any more matches. The Chodeshes will always match. They will always match. Of course they will, because they're 6 months out. They will always match perfectly. And it's interesting. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller. It's interesting because this is a Chodesh. This is the head of the month. It happens on Nisan 1, Tishri 1. But then if you go down here like this, you'll see that this is the head of a month. It is a Chodesh. It is the Iyar 1, and it's also Heshvan 1. And if we continue down over here, you'll see again Chodesh. It's Sivan 1 and Kislev 1. Now, there are 6 of those and 4 of these. This is the Sabbath of time, Sivan 31. These are the Kases. These are the hidden days. Real quick before I go zoom in, it goes like this, 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 and this, and then it begins right here, and it does the same thing. This, Chodesh, and last day. So you have six doubles, or 12, and then you have 4 of these hidden days. Okay, let me zoom in on that a little bit. These are the Kases, and because I've overlaid them, or Sister Sandy did obviously for me, she overlaid them. The first Sabbath of time is Sivan 31. It happens on a Wednesday. It's the last day of Hanukkah also, and it's the third Sabbath of time. First and third, they overlay by 6 months, so that's how they would land. We come down here, and we see the fourth day of creation. The fourth day of creation was God created time. The very next day after Elul 31 will be Nisan 1. It's also the date Lazarus, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Adar 31 is the fourth Sabbath of time, and the day after this will be Nisan 1. March 16th, March 17th will be the first day of time. Elul 31 represents the first 6 months. And then the next day after Elul 31, we would come up here to this. It would be Tammuz 1 or Tevet 1. Sorry, is it Tammuz? Tammuz 1. This is where Noah saw the tops of the mountains on Tammuz 1. You'll see if you're mathematical like this and you see how these numbers relate to each other, it really unfolds. And this is my piece of the puzzle. This is what God has shown me as being proving, not that I needed more proof, but it's more proof that the Bible is written in a fashion to where it is perfect, exactly perfect. You cannot get this perfection. Hold on a second. How do I get, there we go. You cannot get this kind of perfection uh, out of, I was able to hide annotation panel, hide video panel, hide floating. There we go. I learned a new thing. Yay. Press escape. That's how I got it back. That's how I figured it out. So at any rate, this is what speaks to me. Some of you, I mean, it just a whole bunch of different things. I will delve into a little bit of, other people's category, like Wayne over at We Are the Overcomer. Fantastic guy. The way he studies out, the way he does his stuff, it's just absolutely amazing. I'll dive into that, but I haven't studied out like he has. He's done a phenomenal job. But as far as dates are concerned, I know exactly when everything happened. There isn't a single date in the Bible that I have found that does not span exactly like it's supposed to and land exactly where it's supposed to on the Hebrew calendar. I can find every event for Noah, and I can figure out now with this overlay why they happen on that particular event. The 40 days of rain, the flood ends on Kislev 28. The best relatable Gregorian date, they're never exact. They're usually a day off because of that extra day, but we can come pretty darn close. And that's why we'll never, this is micro. This is a micro. This gives us the days. The years, we have the same exact problem. I ran up against the years for a long time because I am on a Gregorian calendar and I attempted for years to match the Enochian or just the Jubilees. I attempted to match the Jubilees to the Gregorian, and I learned you can't do it. It's not possible. The best thing you can do is map out the Jubilees and then count back with the Gregorian year because of the because of the 0 year and just so much that they've done to the calendars. It is so impossible. And I've seen a lot of people give up. They're just like, we'll never know. We'll just never know. I disagree. We'll never know the day or the hour. Based on that, you'll never know exactly the day or the hour of when things are happening simply because, first of all, we can't get us all on the same page as to understanding that the timeline is intricate, it's detailed, it's interwoven, and it cannot change. You can't say and I've seen people do some amazing studies, and I'm like, oh, you almost had it, but you used the moon. You used the Hebrew way of counting rather than going back to the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's why the Essenes hid everything in Qumran. They hid them there because they knew that the Jews were going to go wrong. They knew that this new calendar came out worshiping the moon. King Antiochus brought it out, and I think it was 450 BC. And then by the time we get to the Julian calendar in 46 BC, where they had to fix it, and even Julian got it wrong, it's not 24.25 per day. It's actually 24.24 something per day, which is why over the course of all those years it went wrong, and Gregorian came out to fix it. And even this calendar, the Gregorian calendar, is not accurate. Over the course of 4 or 5 thousand years, you'll still be off by a day. So it's by design. God's original calendar, his original timeline began. Everything in the universe moves except for that day of equal parts. That is the only thing that's immovable. It doesn't budge. When you look at the sun and the date and you see a constellation behind it, you say, oh, it's in Aries. That's the beginning. The problem is the precession of the sun. It is not the beginning, not the beginning of anything. It was back then, but the precession of the sun. And it's a beautiful thing, actually, because it tells the story of God in the heavens. It tells us in Gemini when God and man were together. It tells us the sun in the horns of the bull, the flood. It tells us when it's in the heart of the bull, the Abraham. It tells us that when the sun was in Aries, that's Jesus. He died for the sins of the world, for all those who would believe. It tells us the story of grace all the way through the two fishes. God knew about the two fishes. One group will insist that you have to work. The other group will insist that there is no work. And both of them are very convincing. Both sides are very convincing. Turns out both are correct. We are not going to sit here and battle a tribulation saint and tell him he's wrong, so that when the tribulation finally grabs them, they say, oh, that was wrong. What do we do now? Guess what you do is what we did, and just trust in Jesus and Jesus alone. I am not going to go out and do anything to verify, solidify, add to, compound anything that Jesus did. I can't. I'm a human, sinful human being. He did it all. We are all, every single one of us that is born, destined for the lake of fire. And he just reaches out with a cup and says, hey, I got this cup of salvation. You can take it or leave it. It's up to you. But all of us were destined. God's not throwing anybody in hell. I heard an analogy of a house that was on fire. It was pretty good on Facebook, and I liked it. It said, you're in a house, it's burning down. Fire is all around you, the smoke is filling your lungs, and Jesus opens the door and says, come here, follow me. This is the way out. And you say, I will follow my own way out. I am not following you out because of who you are. The reason they won't follow Jesus is because they hate Jesus. They don't love Jesus. They don't love what he did for them. They want to do it on their own. Pardon me. They want to do it on their own. They don't want to have faith or trust in him. But he has opened the door of every heart, and it's up to you to take that cup. It's up to you to take that help. All of us are going to hell, every single one of us, since the fall of Adam and Eve. And you can't look at your life and tell me you haven't done something that warrants hell, because you can't, unless you're not being honest with yourself. You deserve it just as much as Adam and Eve did. You deserve it. But Jesus is offering. Jesus went to the cross, said, I'm just going to pay the penalty for all of those sins of those who will take my cup and drink from it. It is not a work. The work was done on the cross. It is faith. It is believing, knowing that he did that for you. And he did. He did that for you. And all you have to do is accept that. Okay. Again, you notice how Pentecost lands on the day the flood ends. I said this before, the tops of the mountain scene is the same day Adam was removed from the garden. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. How many years later after Adam was removed? 1,656 years? Right there. That's when it happened. Jesus was conceived on December the 25th. He was not born on December the 25th. That's the date he was conceived, because exactly to the day, 40 weeks later, 280 days, Jesus didn't cut anything short. From his time on the cross to his conception and birth, he cut nothing short. Right here is when he was conceived, and you can go into time and date, and right here is where he was born on Tishri 15, September 30th. Jesus was born. It's perfect. All the numbers line up perfect. Enoch being born, that's extra biblical. I couldn't find anything in the Bible to verify. They're saying Sivan 6. I don't know exactly when. I've tried to apply him in other places, so I really don't know. Enoch is not going to be one of the two witnesses. This was an example of where we're at today. Everyone that was going to be raptured before the flood was Enoch. That was it. Very small amount. Everyone that was going to make it through the flood or through tribulation was on that ark. 8 people. That's it. By contrast, 1 in 8 was taken, and 1 in 9, including Enoch, was taken, and 8 went through tribulation of 9, but they made it through. The rest of them didn't make it. So I don't know what math someone would do on that fact, but very small amount. Now, the two witnesses are going to be Moses and Elisha, just like it says at the Mount of Configuration. That's where Moses and Elisha, right here, Moses dies. We read in the story that Moses retained his strength. Why tell us that? I don't see a reason to tell us that. We could have assumed that he was old at 120 and barely able to move. But the Bible makes sure we understand that even though he was 120, he was as strong as a 20-year-old. He wasn't weak. He wasn't frail. He was as powerful a man as he was when he was 20. He never lost his strength. I think that's because we need to know and understand that Elijah's after the flood. We need to know and understand that Elijah is waiting somewhere to come back to be one of the witnesses. We need to know that Moses was buried and that God is going to resurrect him on the rapture day. On rapture day, Moses will be resurrected. He'll be the other witness. And he's going to die again after 3.5 years. After 1,260 days, he will lie dead in the street. The reason we needed to know that he was in his full strength was because he's going to be very strong, very powerful when he's here, and he's one of those two witnesses. All right. On the first day of creation, Elul 28, September the 11th. No, that's not Tishri. Mathematically, it couldn't be it. The creation had to begin on a Sunday. If creation began on a Sunday, as you saw me overlay these two, Jesus would not have gone to the cross on a Wednesday or the fourth day. The first day would not be a Thursday. That is the first day. The first day of creation, Elul 28, September the 11th, matches perfectly with the day Lazarus got sick. Lazarus got sick on Adar 28. Most closely related Gregorian date is March 13th. The next day, the second day of creation, 2 messengers were sent to Jesus by Mary and Martha. That Lazarus is sick. When the 2 messengers get there, they're saying he's sick. They're not talking about he's dead. They don't know. They've been traveling for 2 days to get to Jesus to tell him that his friend Lazarus is sick. Takes 2 days. They're dispatched on the 14th. They arrive on the 16th, where Jesus says he is dead. Jesus is God. He knows that Lazarus has died. Are there not 12 hours of the day? Ironically, on this day, the day Lazarus dies is March 16th. Anybody can go look it up. There are not 12 hours. I've seen it all over Facebook. This is the day there's 12 hours a day. No, there's not. There is not 12 hours of the day on the equinox. Nowhere on planet Earth does the day last 12 hours during the day and 12 hours at night. And people were in there, which to my surprise, a lot more people know that now than they did 7 years ago, 6 years ago when I started all of this. On this day, Jesus said, are there not 12 hours a day? And in fact, there are. Enoch said, on this day equalized, the next day will be the first day. This is a Wednesday. Lazarus died on a Wednesday. On a Thursday would be the first day. That's where it all began. That's where all of this began with what we're looking at right now. And I think over the course of the next 14 days, I would say to all of you to hang in there. Things are going to get crazy. You're going to start wondering, is he finally going to come to pick us up or what? Because this is going to ramp up exponentially day by day. And I've been saying that when we get close to the rapture, things are going to ramp up exponentially up until the day of the rapture, to the point where perhaps even the bride would say, what's going on? There's one thing that cannot happen. That cannot happen until the rapture occurs. The Antichrist cannot be revealed to the world. He cannot. He will be revealed immediately after the rapture. He cannot be revealed while we're still here. No seals. I keep saying seals are open. This is the fourth seal. No, these are type and shadows, but this is not the fourth seal. We're standing there in heaven watching the first seal being opened. No seals have been opened yet. Maybe types and shadow. This is the white horse riding. No, this is the black. No, it's not. It really isn't. It might be ramping up to that. Satan might be giving you some, hey, look at this. I think you're wrong. I think you missed it. So you lose hope. Don't lose hope. The rapture is going to occur. And immediately after the rapture occurs, there will be people, like a lot of people, a great multitude that no man can count, that will look up and say, but Lord, Lord, didn't I? And there's the problem. They will be there. I don't do anything on Facebook personally. I think it's a trap to get your information. And here I am on YouTube. I'm aware of that, the irony of that. But I don't, if you put your mother's first two initials with your father's last two, they're just trying to find your passwords, man. Don't answer that stuff. They're just trying to find your passwords. Never answer that stuff. But there's a lot of stuff going on in there where they say the seals are already opened, and it's a lot of misinformation. So I just don't spend a lot of time in there. And they will try to convince you of alternative things. And you got to work, you got to do this. They're just all over there going, now, the Bible's real clear that if you're saved, you have to start following. You don't have to do anything. It's like I say, accept the Lord into your heart, quiet place, go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody, and accept the Lord into your heart. That's it. And that's all. Make yourself a tribulation saint by believing those people and run out and get baptized to solidify it, to compound it, to make it better, because what Jesus did on the cross wasn't good enough. They don't understand and will bring you verse after verse showing you that you must do this and you must do that. I tell you, as a bride of Christ, as an elect, as an elder, I'm telling you right now, you will do those things because you are saved, not do those things to stay saved, continue to salvation, to add to what was already done. And therein lies the biggest problem. And that's why I came out here to make this video, because it's nonstop barrage of lies on Facebook and the internet about what you need to do. And they will bring you verse after verse after verse of, see here, it says that if you want to please the Lord, you will obey his laws. You don't understand. When you're saved, you already pleased God, because now you're not going to the lake of fire. And now what he did on the cross was not of ill effect. It was for a reason. And now that you're saved, you feel like stopping doing all kinds of stuff, but it's not saving you. That's the problem with the way it's worded in there. And they convince more and more people to be tribulation saints than to be saved. They put the cart before the horse. Go get baptized. Stop cheating on your wife. Stop gambling money. Stop gambling. Stop doing this. Stop doing it, and then come back and see me. We'll do some penance for that, and then we'll get you saved. All works. 100% works, none of which will save you. None of it. I tell you to go in and wholeheartedly know that you are a sinner. You are destined for the lake of fire. You are in a burning house, and there is only one way out. And he paid that penalty for you. You are that important. And I'm talking about anybody hearing this. You are that important. And he did that so that you could exit that burning house with him. Leave that house. He's at the door. Just he opened the door. Just follow him. He is the only way, the only truth, and the only life. Nobody gets to the Father but by him. He is the door. Let's go to Jesus. After that, after that, the Holy Spirit will begin working inside of you, and you will not want to do any of those things. But if you sit there and attempt to stop doing all those things under your own power in order to make God love you more, because look what I did, look what I did. If there's any I in there whatsoever, you are a tribulation saint, period. That's what you are. You are a tribulation saint. And you will go through the most horrifying time this planet has ever seen. And I see no reason for it. Did you know that Tu B'Av, 15th of Av, is the same 6 months out date as the Festival of Trees on Shabbat 15? Oh, that's super interesting. See if I have any more matches anywhere. There's a lot of stuff matched up. It was really cool. Yeah, but you know what matches up the most? Up here. All of this stuff, this 2 weeks up to the cross and beyond matches up. Basically, these 21 days match up. Did you know that the week of unleavened bread matches perfectly to the week of tabernacles? Perfect match. From Nisan 15, when the Jews leave Egypt, the first day of unleavened bread at nightfall on the 14th, it goes on for 7 days. Jesus is born on tabernacles. When you go out 7 days, Mary, on the 21st day, is the end of unleavened bread. And this is Mary's ceremony that she has when she's unclean for giving birth to a male child. Jesus here is named and circumcised on October the 7th, the date that Israel was attacked. I don't need to come on here and try to convince anybody that today is March 22nd? Yeah, March 22nd. Today is Nisan 6. I don't have to convince anybody. You have to prove that Wednesday is not the day Jesus went to the cross, and that Sunday, or the first day, is not the first day of creation. I lost creation on this. Oh, there it is. First day of creation. That's the first day, September the 11th. It is not Tishri 1. It can't be, because Tishri 1 cannot happen on a Sunday. Tishri 1 must happen on a Thursday. I lost Tishri. Let me go to the next one. I just wanted to show you the overlay. I can find my way around this one. That's why I don't use that one much, because it's very confusing. So first day of creation, fifth day of creation, sorry, the first day of time. Time was created back here on a Wednesday. The same day Jesus went to the cross was a Wednesday. It is this is how it is stated. This is why everybody gets confused about the Sabbaths, because they're like, I thought Jesus went to the cross on the Sabbath. I thought Jesus rose after the Sabbath. He did. He did both, because Wednesday's the Sabbath, Saturday's the Sabbath, dawning on the new Sabbath, which is Sunday, dawning on the way it's worded, I believe in the original Greek or Hebrew, I'm not sure, but Sunday would be the dawning of the new Sabbath. Remember, Jesus rose on a Sunday, on the first day. So, but at any rate, we are here now. It is Nisan 6. It is March 22nd. The year began on the day of equal parts, the day Lazarus died. Mary and Martha buried him. They were unclean for 3 days. They performed a ceremony. And then Mary and Martha are clean on Nisan 7, the 7th day of the first month. And then on the 8th day, Jesus couldn't have a meal with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Couldn't. Mary and Martha were unclean. I find it ironic that Lazarus, being the dead guy, had been alive for 4 days. Is it 4 days? Yeah, 4 days. Lazarus was raised here on March 20th, Nisan 4, on a Sunday, because he's raised exactly 14 days before Jesus is risen. He is a prime example. He is the He is the witness. He's the messenger. Lazarus became the messenger to tell everybody, look, 14 days after this event, I'm going to rise. But Mary and Martha couldn't have that. Jesus couldn't have that meal at Mary and Martha's house because they were unclean up until the seventh day. And on the eighth day, the Bible records that there was a meal with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And that meal took place 6 days exactly before the cross, right there. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. What's my next high watch day? Every single second of this 2-week to 21-day period of time. Every single second. It might go to the 21st day, which is April the 6th, Nisan 21. I don't think so, but it might. Based on what I've seen, and quite frankly, the events while they are escalating take time. It takes time to get to them. Things will escalate exponentially the closer we get to the rapture, and Amos 3:7 will be fulfilled to each one of the bride that has been watching. And so, again, we're right here on Nisan 6. Tomorrow, Nisan 7, High Watch Day, March 23rd. Mary and Martha are clean. This meal, could this be the meal we have with Jesus in heaven? This meal, Mary found the one true thing that she wanted. Martha is upset because Mary's not helping out. Lazarus, being the dead guy himself, is able to eat with Jesus, even though Mary and Martha can't because they are unclean for 7 days. There's no stipulation for a dead guy coming back being unclean for 7 days. He doesn't have to perform a ceremony, anything. The dead guy's at this meal. Mary's at this meal at his feet, washing his feet with her hair. And Martha's running around like a chicken with her head cut off, saying, you must do this and you must do that. And they're doing it right now, as you can see. This is a very high watch day, March 24th, Nisan 8. At sunset on Nisan 9, March 25th, this is where Jesus has a meal. And unfortunately, the King James Version combined these two in the top where it says it relates to this story. They don't. They're different stories. They are not the same event. They're separate stories. This meal is, and that's why people get confused. Well, if you knew who that, that Mary was, and so you see this meal with Simon the leper, the Pharisee who Jesus cured after sunset. And what happens at this meal? Jesus' head is anointed. How long from this meal is it? It's 4 days until the Last Supper. I'm 4 days until the cross. It is 4 days. So it's a very high watch day. Sunset on March 25th. Nisan 9. Nisan 10. This is the triumphant entry. Kevin says something that's very interesting, Spinebreaker. He says, I think the Essenes were the ones standing out there, knowing that Jesus had to go to the cross, standing out there throwing palm branches at Jesus' feet or the donkey's hooves as he went through Hosanna in the highest, the one that comes to take away the sins of the world. He thinks they were the Essenes doing that. I can't disagree with him. I don't know if that's written anywhere, but it seems like the Essenes were the only ones that had a handle on time. I showed this before. They didn't know it was Jesus because he came 7 years after the math of the temple. Is it the temple? The foundations, I believe, of building of Jerusalem. I'll get to the next screen and show it to you. But he shows, let me just go ahead and do that before I speak out of turn. Right up here. Daniel's 70th week. He doesn't just talk about 69 weeks. He talks about 62 weeks. 62 weeks times 7 weeks of years is 434 years. If you deduct that from the year the decree went out, like the Bible says, from the year the decree went out, it was 11 BC. When did Jesus come? Came in 4 BC. No, it wasn't. They'll ignore that side of it and say, oh, he went to the cross in 33. It's perfect math. No, it's horrible math. It's literally the worst math I've ever seen. He did not go to the cross in 33 AD. He went to the cross in 30 AD because Hosea 6:2, again, a verse completely misunderstood. After 2 days is the year 2030 AD. It was 30 AD and went to the cross. 2,000 years later, after 2 days. He is not setting foot on the Mount of Olives after 2 days. He doesn't say that. He said after 2 days and on the third day. When is he setting foot on Mount Olives? On the third day. It is a jubilee from sin. It's the end of tribulation. It is the year 2033 AD. That's when it happens. Again, the math tightens and restricts and doesn't allow you to move things around unless you just want to say things without verifying it with all of the other information in the Bible. Another date given by Daniel was 69 weeks of years, 69 times 7 weeks of years. That's 483. When you take 483 from the year the decree went out in 445 BC, it brings us to 38 AD. When did Jesus go to the cross? In 30 AD. We have 7 years on this side, 7 years on this side, and no, the math is never going to add up to, but Jesus is the Jubilee. Jesus is the Sabbath. Jesus is the Shemitah. Jesus is all that. These 49 years, when you add them all together, the problem is when you get down here to 11 BC to 38 AD, it's 49 years. When you go from 3993 to 4040, you have 47 years. When you add 7, the 33 and a half for Jesus, 6 months for Exodus 12, and the 7, you have 48 years. So it's off. So you must stop and count each 49-year block all the way back to creation in order to know where we are. Ultimately, Jesus came here. He had to. There's no question. In the year 4000. 4,000. Everybody is like, it's got to be 6,000. Somebody had a discussion with me. It's got to be 6,000 years. The Bible says so. It is. It is 6,000 years, just like the Bible says. It's 4,000 years from creation to his birth, and it's 2,000 years from the cross to when the Jews flee to Petra. After 2 days, he will revive us. And on the third day, he will raise us up. Why does God raise them up? To go into the millennium. Not really. He raises them up to clean up. And then the millennium begins. I thought this long and hard. Jesus rules and reigns for 1,000 years. Would he use 7 years of those 1,000 years of him ruling, reigning as a cleanup period of time? As a period of time when everything needs to get set up. Remember, we're stuck in time here on earth. It's not just snap your fingers and this happens and that happens. Of course, God could do that. But we are products of time. Now, once we're raptured, us, the elders are raptured, and the tribulation saints are taken up, gathered up to heaven. We too will have those qualities. But the people that are here, you can't just shift time. No, they'll be cleaning up for 7 years. Jesus' millennium, Jesus' 1,000 years will begin in 2040 AD. 2040 AD. And it will go on for 1,000 years. And then Satan, I guess we all take off at that point. Satan will be loose. He'll be given free reign for 14 years. I thought it was 21, but then when I read that verse, I said, now hold on a second. Is Jesus going to share his 1,000-year millennium with the mess that was created by Satan over the last 6,000 years? And the answer is no. He's not. The Jews will clean this up for 7 years. Then Jesus will begin the millennium for 1,000 years. Then Satan will be loosed, and he'll have 14 years to deceive what's left, which will be a lot of people because there won't be any pain in childbirth. All of the punishments that were delivered to Adam and Eve will be gone. You'll plant something, and the next day it'll be a full-grown tree. Everything you plant grapes, and boom, grapes. There'll be no hunger, no thirst, no problems here whatsoever. It'll be a paradise here on planet Earth for 1,000 years. And then comes Satan. Satan will come in for his last jog of time, 14 years. And that is divisible. And again, like I said, 6,000 years does apply. You just got to know how to apply it, because the Jubilee count is the actual count. There are exactly 123 Jubilees to the trumpets beginning. Before that, 6 months earlier, because of Exodus 12, that's why it's there. That explains why it's there. It's the Jubilee. It's the rapture before the first seal. There's a 6-month dispensational shift. I think this is when all the seals are opened. I think on the Feast of Trumpets, right here, September the 15th, Tishri 1, I think the trumpets are opened. And then I think we have 3.5 years of just hell on earth, the bowls. I think the tribulation saints. Honestly, if I'm just being honest, the rapture, the tribulation saints, and the Jews going into the millennium cannot happen until a jubilee. I think it has to happen in a jubilee. And that can only happen every 49 years. And this is the jubilee. It just began on Nisan 1. It just began on Nisan 1. On Nisan 10 is the triumphant entry. Could that be when we go? I don't know. But this, interestingly enough, is 123 jubilees from Adam's sin, and it ends the tribulation. 123 jubilees from creation to the end is now. It's right now. It would be September because everything was reversed back then. That's why he did those 6 months in Exodus 12. There's 6 months of seals. And it is a jubilee year from March. I'm sorry, from Nisan 1, March 17th, to Nisan 1, March 17th of the year 2027, or what we call 2027. I finally sat down, like I said before, and figured up all of those dates. I've showed this. Oh, I'm not going to find it. Look at that mess. Maybe it's this one. Yes. All right. Let me get rid of all that. Why is it blurry? Did I mark on this thing somewhere? You'd think I did. I did it right there. I was trying to figure out Jesus' 49 years is actually wrapped around. Hold on. Let me go in and fix it so we can see it. Let's see here. There we go. And there we go. And there. All right. This should clear up in a moment, but I was trying to figure out Jesus from when he was born to when he died on the cross. It's actually encased within this period of time here because it's 11 BC, which is 23 years before this 49-year block. And it was when he went, how do you say, to the cross at 33 AD, but the Jubilee would have ended in 38 AD, and it's another 23. It's 23 and 23. I don't know how that works, honestly. But what I did was I began counting with the year 2025 and the year 6028. This is the Jubilee year. We actually just began 2025 on January 1st and 6028 on March 17th. They're off by 75 days, exactly 75 days between these two. So you can't really use the Gregorian. It's an invented year that really has nothing to do with anything aside from the fact that they attempted to line it up with Jesus' birth and his crucifixion. They attempted to, but they failed miserably. They ultimately wound up showing Jesus being born in 3 BC instead of the year 0, which they should have. And they showed him on the cross in 30 AD, but it should have been the year 33 and a half because he was here 33 and a half years, but it didn't work out like that. It was 30 AD. But when I applied this, I went and counted. I started back here, 0 year here, and I went down here. That's 49, and that's the 49 you see there. This is 49-year span from 4003 BC. Remember, creation began on September the 11th. September the 11th was still 4004. By the time we get to September the 15th, which lands right here, then you go this way and you get back to September the 14th, 49 years later. And then on the 50th, everything you see here, it's the following year. That's the Jubilee. So, in other words, let me think. I didn't realize that. In other words, In other words, if you're counting this way, the Jubilee actually began in 4004. It's very interesting. I didn't notice that before because it would be 1 year off. Uh, so down here, it'll be easier for us to understand once we get past the 0 year. I didn't have a 0 year. I didn't need one. I just counted every 49, period. Again, Jesus being here in 11 BC to 30 AD, it didn't match anything, but it does match if you put 7 years before and 7 years after, which is why they didn't know that it was Jesus. He came 7 years late. It was supposed to happen 11 BC. He was supposed to live 40 years, but he didn't. He was 33 and a half. He came 7 years late and he left 7 years early. It turned out that he was the Jubilee 49, but mathematically, according to the 62 and the 69 weeks and the year the decree came out at 445, they missed him. They missed him. Poetic pause, 7 years of poetic pause. I'm not sure. So the year 64 AD, the following year, 65 would be a Jubilee. Same thing down here. The year 2024, 6027 is divisible by, I had Sister Sandy add these so I could see year for year after that. But 6027, see, they're all separated by 49 years, all of them up to this point. 6027 is divisible by 49. It turns out when I match them year for year, it's the year 2024. Then the Jubilee begins. It said right there, Jubilee 6028, it's the Jubilee, and it's 2025. We are not in 2026. We're in 2025. 2025 will last until December 31st because it has nothing to do with the Essenes knew nothing about the Gregorian calendar. They didn't know anything about the Julian calendar. The Essenes hid the scrolls in Qumran when King Antiochus came out with the sliver moon worshiping. And when they realized it would all go wrong, they put those scrolls in Qumran to be found now. Now, I said those are earthen vessels to be found. And somebody said, no, the earthen vessels, people. You know, each verse has more than one meaning. These verses have more than one meaning. And it is also talking about that. Oh, all of the charts. Oh, so many charts. At any rate, like I said, 445 BC, the year of the decree, they didn't know who Jesus was because he came 7 years later. They didn't know who Jesus was because this is supposed to be 40 years. Is it 40 or 50? 50 years because of the Jubilee. But it turned out that he left in 30 AD, 7 years earlier. Came 7 years late, left 7 years earlier. Decree went out 445, mathematically 62 weeks, 434. That's 11 BC. Nobody ever talks about this. If it doesn't fit their narrative, they ignore it. And when I see it, I write it down and I'm like, there has to be some sense behind this. There has to be some sense behind this 49 years. And when I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute, it's a Jubilee. It's a Jubilee. Wow. So yeah, the triumphant entry I have here, I don't know why I put it here. Perhaps we were talking about Joshua's triumphant entry. I don't know, but that happens on March 26th, which is right at 3.5, 4 days from now. And it'll be Nisan 10. It will be the year 6028. It will be 10 days into the Jubilee. And it will be the year actually 2025, but the year we call 2026. All right, let me keep going here. This is the verse that everybody uses. Oh, no, it's 2,000 years. The day is for 1,000 years, 1,000 years for the day. And they just compile this together and they don't know what they're reading. After 2 days, he will revive us, talking to the Jews, talking to Israel and Judah, are unrepentant. He's talking to them. He's not talking to the elders. He's not talking to the rapture. He's not talking to the tribulation saints. He's talking completely here to the Jew. After 2 days, he will revive us. That will happen 2,000 years after Jesus goes to the cross in 2030. And on the third day, he will raise us up. On that day, he will raise the dead Jews out of their graves, and they will spend 7 years cleaning. And then the millennium will begin, and we shall live in his sight. How could anybody think this is speaking to the rapture and the timeline of the rapture if it says shall live in his sight? We don't live in Jesus' sight. We rule and reign with Jesus. So this is not a an elder verse. I've showed this many times. We are currently now on the 22nd. This is exactly 30 days to mourn Moses after he passed. 30 days. Notice how all of these events, 20, 21, and 22, Lazarus died here, raised here. The not the Jubilee, what's the Purim? Purim is on February the 28th, the same day they killed Khomeini. And here, 21 days later, is the 21st. And then here, 30 days after, it's just so much math. It all intertwines. It's actually beautiful. After they mourned Moses for 30 days, then he said, in 3 days, get everybody up, get ready, and we're going in. And when did they go in? They went in on Nisan 10, which is March 26th. And that's the triumphant entry. Could that be when we go? Will something give us some kind of a heads up here very soon? I know Trump just said you got 84. Did he say? I'm sorry, 48 hours. I was just at 84. You got 48 hours. Will that be when all this kicks off and we're going to be like, Lord, where are you at? Things are happening. We're getting scared. But he says, don't be afraid. These things must happen. And then look up and your redemption draws near. So we're right here. This will be 1, 2, 3. From the moment he said, get everybody up, or in 3 days we will cross. I guarantee it was 84 hours. 84 is used constantly. Constantly. This is 84 hours on the 26th. The triumphant entry happened. All right. I don't know why I highlighted this in Deuteronomy. What is this? Deuteronomy 34. I know the video is going on, but I really feel like this information is for the tribulation saints. Some of you say, I want long videos. Some of you are just rude about short videos, just plain rude. Not very Christian-like at all. But I leave these for the tribulation saints who I believe will need all of this math and this understanding for themselves to know that the reason you're still here is because you trusted in your works. So that's why I make these long videos. Deuteronomy 34, 5. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, whoa, I'm under attack by a moth. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him. Who buried him? God buried him. I wish they capitalize these. I really do. I don't know why they would, and he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab. Where's Moses' body at? It's in the land of Moab. It's hidden. Nobody can find it. Over against Beth Peor, sorry. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre until this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim. I am 61. My eyes are getting dim. I drive slower now because I don't have that quick eye. I slow down and move over to the right because I'm not as quick as I used to be. When I was younger, I was hell on wheels. You were always in my way. But now that I'm older, I move over because there's young people that need to get by because they're in a hurry. And I don't remember why I was in such a hurry, but they're in a hurry. I got to get out of their way. They got places to be. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. Why does God spend time to tell us about this? It's because he's one of the two witnesses. And when he rises, he won't be in a bad condition like the others that rise, not the elders that are going to be raptured. I'm talking about the others that will rise so they can witness the rapture and take that cup and drink from it at that point, along with all those who are alive who have not taken that cup and drank from it and trusted their own works. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. Complete 30 days. Absolute complete 30 days. And then, I think it's on the next one. Yeah. And then after 30 days is over, then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the host and command the people, saying, prepare you victuals for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan to go into possess the land, and the Lord God giveth you to possess it. So the triumphant entry will occur on Nisan 10. Okay. I showed you this before. I'm always trying to show you that he did not go to the cross in 31 AD, 32 AD, or 33 AD. Just the coins on the Shroud of Turin. Some people say the shroud's not real. I don't know if it's real or not, but the coins that were burned into the shroud were Pontius Pilate, or no, they weren't Pontius Pilate. Place over his eyes. They were called Jewish lepta, or widow's mites, placed over the eyes of the man in the shroud. These coins are identified as being struck by Pontius Pilate in the year AD 29 or AD 30. Perhaps one coin was from 29. Remember, when Jesus went to the cross, it had only been the year 30 AD for 14 days. That's it, 14 days. All right. King Herod the Great died in 4 BC. How did King Herod put out an order to kill all the baby Jewish males, virgin Jewish males? So virgin, they were babies. But how did he put out this order if Jesus went to the cross in 33 AD and yet, based on that knowledge, would have to be born in 1 BC or 0 BC? And King Herod died in 4 BC. It's just not mathematical. Jesus went to the cross in 30 AD, mathematically. Once again, the temple, and I've heard them say, "Well, it's 38 years." Nope, it was 40 years. Jesus didn't cut corners. It was 40 years. It was destroyed. It was 40 years, and if I remember, was it 115 days or 105 days? I can't remember. The 9th of Av. Oops, I went the wrong way there. Let's see here. 9th of Av, from when Jesus went to the cross. Let's see. 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, happened on day 130 of the year, and yeah, the 15th. So it was 40 years and 115 days after the comment was made. Actually, the comment was made. So I'm wrong about that. I didn't realize that. The temple was destroyed 40 years after Jesus went to the cross, 40 years and 115 days. But the comment that the temple would be destroyed and rebuilt was made in 26 AD, the year Jesus began his ministry. Another proof that Jesus began his ministry in 26 AD. I saw this guy, Brother Joshua Jorgka. I'm probably mispronouncing that. He's doing some really good stuff, so I thought I'd promote the guy. I loved what he did here, and this is not my strong point. I'm going to stick to the timeline, and I believe it's accurate. But he was able to go in and put in. He was able to go in and put in all the calendars, including mine, on here. I didn't really have time to study it. I just listened to his video. Crucifixion, April the 3rd. Crucifixion was March 30th. Is mine on here? I don't see mine on here, but I know he talked about it. He didn't. He was crucified on March 30th. He rose on April the 3rd. So maybe it's back here. Oh, March the 30th. Yeah. Crucifixion right there. Static. He calls it the static, which is fine. That's exactly what it is. It's the Essene calendar. It's a Essene timeline. I didn't know it was. I built it, and then years later, I found out about these Dead Sea Scrolls the Essenes hid, and it turns out that we have the same exact calendar. I just did math to build mine. I had no idea that they had already known this. But at any rate, he does all of this. Static days, Repo 60. There it is. So he does all this. Very good channel, a very good study. And again, please go subscribe to him, because during the tribulation, there will be those that need this information. I don't want to say his name because I don't know how to say that. Jorka. I'm fluent in Spanish and English, and I'm pretty good at pronouncing most names, but I cannot pronounce that. All right. Let's see. Did you know that from when Israel was attacked in the year 2023 on October the 7th, exactly 10 years later that there would be the final lunar eclipse in the last of the tetrad, with four total lunar eclipses in the series. And this will be the final one here on October the 8th in 2033. I was like, I had made that timeline, I think it was last year, showing Jacob's trouble is not 7 years. Jacob's trouble is 20. That's Jacob's trouble. It was 20 years long. He was in trouble from his brother. He ran from his brother. He hid out for 20 years. He got married to two women and left with a bunch of cow. I think what did he have? 12 kids, I'm pretty sure, right? 12 kids. And he left with all the cattle. And he comes back and he finds his brother Esau, and he's kneels down. He's like, if he kills me, he kills me. It's his right. I stole his birthright. He didn't really steal it because he offered it with a bowl of porridge. But at any rate, bygones, right? And what does it turn out? It turns out that Esau has 10 times. Is it double or 10 times? I don't recall. He has so much more than Jacob has. Jacob's blessed, but Esau was also blessed. They're going to be blessed. The Jews, Esau representing the Jew, Jacob representing the bride, the Jews will be blessed at the end. They will live in Jesus' sight for 1,000 years. And that's what that story is about. But it's 20 years. But when I did the math, I said, wait, something's here mathematically for 10 years. What story do I know that last 10 years and forever? I was like, I don't know of anything that lasts 10 years, until I realized that for the very sake of the elect, there's only two groups that this could apply to. For the flesh, the tribulation saints die. They all die to go to heaven. There's no flesh getting into heaven aside from the elders, the bride, us. But wait a minute, there's another group of flesh that, should they survive, that the time's cut short, but they will have to survive to go into Petra and subsequently into the millennium after they do the cleanup. But they will go in their flesh. And I realize that's what the verse is speaking to. It's speaking to the 20 years of Jacob's trouble, cut in half. The time was shortened to 10 years. And this right here, October 7th of 2023, Jews have been in a tribulation source by themselves for the last, up until, if you add it all together, let me think, 2023, 10 years, 3 years in is, I need to do the math on how long in did of these 10 years now cut in half, did he go? I think it was 3 years, and then 3.5 and 3.5 for a total of 10 years. So I found that interesting. I was like, no way. That literally matches what my timeline shows as being the end. I thought that was pretty cool, because that's what I show. I show October the 7th of 2033 as being the end, when Satan is tied up for 1,000 years and they begin doing their cleanup. All right. This started shooting across my feed yesterday from all these. Kate Mina, is that Catalina Rose? I again don't do a lot on Facebook, just because of the nature that I think Facebook is. But Iran announces that they are now going on the offensive after finding Israel's weak spots. Iran is now taking this war to a whole new level. I don't know. This is Bubba News. Bubba News does a phenomenal job, an absolutely wonderful job at relating the events that we're seeing to the Bible and keeping it relatable to the Bible, unlike other people who just report this stuff, because they're flailing all over the place. Iran's going to take us apart. Iran can't touch us because we're America. And like I said in the last video, I don't get any of that. I just want to know the relationship that these events have to the Bible, and Bubba News does that. He does a very good job of that. And so What he's relating this to is Elam. He's relating it to Jeremiah 49, 36, 37. Captain Cookies is another one that I've been watching. I don't know much about him either, but it's a YouTube channel that I've been watching, and he said the same thing, that what happens in Jeremiah 50, it's the tribulation. Who won't be here by Jeremiah 50? We won't. The more this thing escalates, the closer we are to the rapture. There's Kate Mina. Again, Trump just issued a 48-hour ultimatum over the Strait of Hormuz in Bushehr. If Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point, I don't know when that exact point is. I don't know the exact moment that conversation took place or when Trump posted this. So 48 hours, this was yesterday that I took this screenshot. You're looking at maybe 24 more hours or less. That's very interesting. Oh, and Wackadoodle Samoan, man, give me a call. I have not heard from you in a minute. He gets very busy. He has a lot of work and he works a lot of hours. And so uh, he'll get back into calling. God Slam Down Under. My friend Brett. I didn't even see this in the background. My king is the king of the Jews. Oh yeah. Rapture Dream Demona, Bear 49. I don't know what this was. 13 years ago, our brother was given this dream about Iran. Oh, apparently, you'd have to go to Brother God's Land Down Under to watch this. Apparently, this person here, Rapture Dream Demona, knew about the events that we're going through right now from a dream he had 13 years ago. So God's Land Down Under found that. And of course, he promoted it. We all look for people who are looking for the rapture to occur, and we promote their channels. I personally even look for people who are tribulation saints and think you have to work. And I will subscribe to them because during the tribulation, those people are going to become pivotal. They're going to become very important. We won't be here. So I stay subscribed to channels that have actually done hit pieces on me on purpose because I feel that they are tribulation saints and that their information is going to be pertinent during the tribulation. So that's just me, though. Trump's 48-hour ultimatum lands on Blue Heaven. Blue Heaven. Anybody ever seen Gigi at Blue Heaven? She's awesome. She's just looking for the rapture like the rest of us. We're all just trying to figure this out. I want the rapture just as much as anybody else does. There's nothing here on this earth that I'm dreaming about over and above the rapture. I'm just trying to keep my head treading above water until, and I think that's the consensus of most of us, keep your head above water until the rapture occurs. But we're all right here. The water's right up to our nose. We're just barely making it. And she's awesome. Blue Heaven, 1111. She's awesome. Gigi. And so she will report very heavily on this type of stuff as well. So I watch her channel, subscribe. Stefan Burns is a naturalist. He is a holistic type guy. He is not a Christian from what I know. I don't want to judge him, but he has been reporting about these fireballs that have been raining down everywhere. They're just raining down. And they even took videos of some of these fireballs, and they aren't just falling straight down. They're going back and forth in zigzag patterns. And I'm just like, are these fallen angels? Are these fallen angels? Are they right now being kicked out of heaven? I don't know. That's not my 48, but I really do like watching Stefan Burns, geophysicist. I wish he would understand that everything that he thinks is related to Earth's energy is actually in the Bible. And all he has to do is accept the free gift that Jesus has for him. But otherwise, yeah, I'm subscribed to him. Okay, last screen. The earthquakes are increasing exponentially. You've seen several 6.0s, not just on this screen, but previous to this, several 6.0s that have been taking off. The one location out of all the locations around the Ring of Fire, the one location that seems to be left out of all of these earthquakes up to this point is California. The one place you would think would be rumbling more than anyone else is California, but it is not. These earthquakes are happening everywhere. And the waves in the sea is roaring. I think the moment that California hits, and as a matter of fact, people have had dreams to this effect, that there is a huge, huge earthquake in California and a tsunami that just decimates just lots and lots of places. So keep that in mind. The waves in the sea is roaring really is what we're searching for, what we're looking for. And let me check earthquakes as of late. A lot of 4.0s and above are going off, but nothing major just yet. So just keep watching. Let me hit the escape button. There we go. Stop sharing. All right. Just keep watching. I hope that this is my last video. I hope that we go. I had the 3 days off. I was waiting for something big. Trump giving a 48-hour ultimatum, the earthquakes. I mean, everything is going up, not as fast as I had hoped. It is a slow, gradual uphill climb, but I think once we get to the plateau, boom, it's a fall straight up. Once we get to that point, it'll be a fall straight up. So, all right, keep watching, keep praying. There's heaven is our next stop. Heaven's our next stop. Keep treading water. Heaven's our next stop. Hang in there. We're about to go home. We'll chat with you all again later.